This is the revolutionary hour. BOSS Radio.
Got you in the trenches.
BOSS Radio.
Every day trying to get it. We live and die for the dollar. Yeah.
Link Unlimited.
They say money is the root. Let's get it. Feeling like Omar Epps when Pac fell off the roof. Live with no regrets. What a real nigga do. That's cause and effect. Some choose to break the rules. I'm blessed with the Jews. Use the pain as my fuel. 10 youngers on the corner pushing work. Call them mules. Shorty rather catch a dollar. Learn that shit in school. Mama crying about the bills. Rent 2 months overdue. I hear the money calling niggas. Time to make power moves. If the streets is what you choose, just know one day your dog may turn on you. Your dog may turn on you. For that dollar, I'ma let the angels holler. I see it every day. These youngins out here starving, looking for a better way, unaware of the knowledge. I know tomorrow ain't promised. I hope God hears calling. We live and die for the dollar. 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 Single mother struggling with 2, 1 in the oven. The pressure's on daddy, not home all of a sudden. She hold it down, wearing a crown. Can't tell her nothing like a jungle. Makes her wonder how she keep from going under. Convicted felon lost hope on his last appeal. Moving dope to provide his family a decent meal. God, is he wrong for surviving, getting it how he lived? Doing 34, birdie locked behind the cold steel. Working the white man's job, they treat you like a slave. You feel the pain on your back without the whips and chains. This shit ain't designed for you, it's all commercial gain. We live and die for the dollar, call it minimum wage. Dear God, these crackers trying to kill us. Bring down Exodus before they squeeze another trigger. Technology brainwashing all my little children, planting bad seeds, corrupting minds by the millions. I see it every day. These youngins out here starving, looking for a better way, unaware of the knowledge. I know tomorrow ain't promised. I hope God hears calling. We live and die for the dollar. 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 We live and die for the dollar.
This is the revolutionary hour.
BOSS Radio, Southside Bosses, its owners and associates take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the talk show host or their guests. Statements or show topics are not necessarily the beliefs of the site or the radio station, and opinions between talk show hosts may conflict. This site does not endorse anything as the truth. That you will have to judge for yourself. But we try to speak the truth on the owner's behalf and reserve the right to question the supposed truth. In this time of misinformation, government-controlled media, and government corruption, it is sometimes hard to get to the truth, but we must try. It is not our intention to libel, discriminate, make hate, or annoy anyone. We believe that it is our constitutional First Amendment right of free speech to voice our opinions and our duty to the Constitution and country to expose the truth. This site takes no responsibility for the opinions of others and the postings of comments in chat rooms or forum posts.
As Mr. Flavor, I am proud to bring to you Mr. E, the music maestro.
What it is, everybody, what it is. This is your boy, Mr. E, boss of the Southside Bosses, coming to you here live on BOSS Radio's Talking But Ain't Saying Nothing podcast. Here where we talk about any and everything that is controversial. We pull no punches. We hold no bars. We don't care. That's why you need to go ahead and like and subscribe to us and find us on your favorite streaming service, whether it be Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, and more. That way you can go ahead and share us to all your family and friends. Let them know exactly what we got going on over here, because I'm about to school y'all, man. First, I want to say to all my family out there, everybody, all my skin folk out there, you know, I know they say all skin folk ain't kin folk, and but you know, I still want to talk to all my melanated people out there. I want to say, I guess
happy Black History Month for those who subscribe to that type of thing. But for the rest of us that are awakened, I just want to let you know that we are going to be dropping some knowledge real soon to help you out. But before we can help you out, we got to get the rest of our kinfolk, the rest of our skin folk, on the same page with us, because if not, they're going to end up becoming a hindrance and ended up holding us back. And we are definitely trying to make some lavish changes. We're trying to make some real things pop off for us, because it really does feel like we are alone in this world. But it's weird because we make up most of this world. Well, I don't know how that works, but it works. So today we're going to be talking about one thing that every black folk have on their mind, in the back of their head, every day, all day. And that's reparations. Because we have the tendency to believe that we deserve some type of reparations. But we have yet to even understand what reparations is in international law. Because that's how we have to look at it in our perspective, because we was taken from one nation and taken to another nation by several nations. So you have to take into account that this gonna fall well past anything that that's in your scope of your knowledge, because of the fact you were told one thing in school without proper context, so it got you thinking another thing. So first, I want to just say, share us, like us, and make sure that you tune in, because this type of episode really goes down on Revolutionary Hour, but I wanted to keep it a little bit light. So a lot of the information that I'm giving you, you're going to have to go research yourself. I know that seemed like it's a hindrance. You don't want to do all that. That's a lot. You know what I'm saying? I already asked you to be on this show. I already asked you to share us to your family and friends. So how dare I ask you to study in order to find out how you can save yourself? Now, we've been looking for this reparations for a long time. And so let's understand what reparations is. So we're going into the Oxford Bibliographies .com. And we're actually going to look at the definition of what reparations means on an international level, on an international scope. Now, reparation refers to the process and result of remedying the damage or harm caused by an unlawful act. In international law, a breach of an international obligation gives rise to a duty to repair the harm caused. So, reparations is pretty much just fixing what they broke. Okay. So, when you think about reparations, the main thing, the main story that comes to your mind is the Jews, right? After World War II, you know, it's sad because of everything that happened to them, that was done to them by the Germans, by a whole nation. They were given reparation, a large lump sum at that time. Not only that, they was also given land. They also are given a check every year. Every year they get hundreds of millions to billions of dollars in either U.S. funds, euros, pounds, whatever you have. The Western world has been trying to make right for what Germany did. Not for what they did, but for what Germany did. Germany has to pay their part too, but the United States they give them hundreds of millions of dollars a year. I don't know why the United States, when the United States was the ones that came and saved their ass, I don't know why they paid them reparations, but you know, that's not my culture, that's not my nation, so I don't care. Now, when you talk about reparations, other reparations, you got to understand that there are a multitude of people that have been wronged on this land that was given reparations. Starting first and foremost with the Native Americans. The Native Americans were given land and reservations, and they don't have to ever pay taxes and they also get like government grants and stuff like that if they want to come into the United States fold, the United States jurisdiction. Because it's not just about the land. It's never been about the land. It's always been about jurisdiction. Remember that. But you got the Native Americans getting reparations. Then you turn around and you find out that the Irish get reparations because they was once treated like they were black. They were actually dubbed the green niggers. So they was treated wrongly. They was enslaved. So when they got their freedom and got accepted into the white fold of the United States of culture, the United States government, United States politics, they were given reparations. And you turn around and you find out about the Japanese. The Japanese used to, and the Chinese, they used to be treated just as bad as us, as bad as black people, and they got reparations when they finally got their freedom. But yet, all this time, black people were sitting in the cut like, yeah, we've been free for a minute now. Y'all ain't done nothing for us. Why is that? A lot of people believe it's because the United States Constitution isn't for us. A lot of people just think that, President Abraham Lincoln didn't follow through with his promise because he was murdered, and the next person, they just done away with that. But a lot of people don't actually see how they already are getting it. And it's not, I'm not going to say it's adequate. I'm not going to say that what I'm about to explain to you is that you just forget about reparations. You should forget about anything other than this. But let me explain to you how you're getting it and why you're getting it in that form. You see, when it comes to contract law, you agree to something, then you are stuck with that agree. You have to. It's called having your word, keeping your word. So, if that's called keeping your word, then you have to understand that in contract law, once you agree to something, you have to abide by that agreement. And if you do not, there's consequences and repercussions. So if the United States government has told us that they're going to give us reparations, that they're going to give us the equivalent of 40 acres and a mule, then that means they will have to do that. Or they could be brought up on, not charges because it's not criminal law, but they could be brought up on a lawsuit, on a tort. They could be sued. The contract would be used as evidence and they would be held accountable, right? So why hasn't that happened yet? I'm lost. Why hasn't that happened yet? Maybe because nobody's actually taken a step to do it. Now, somebody would have had to. All these black lawyers we got, somebody would have had to figure that out. Maybe it's because by acquiescence we agreed to that, and also agreed that however they was to give it to us, we would be happy with, because we didn't know how to read. We didn't sign anything. We still don't know how to read. So we continuously sign anything, like birth certificates, social security, all types of other contracts that you have. So in those contracts, it stated that, we're not going to give you the 40 acres and a mule, but we'll give you something equivalent that we think is equivalent of that. Is that okay? We already said yes by signing it. We agreed to it through acquiescence. So what could we say? We have to agree. We have to go by it because that was the agreement that we agreed to. So Eric, what are you talking about? What is these reparations that you're talking about? Well, think about it. If you're poor, if you're low income to low middle income, then whenever you do your taxes, and you got children, you can get an earned income credit, right? Yeah. You get that earned credit, that's a few $1,000s. And guess what? That's more money than you have seen all year. So two things happen with that money. You're happy with that money because it's more money than you've seen all year. And two, you're going to go and blow it and give it pretty much right back to them. Right back to them. Not only that, but they have just bought your children. They just now asked you, they paid you to continue the slave force going, this working class society. They paid you to continue that so that they don't have to do it and they don't have to worry. They can go and live their life. They paid you to do that because now Most people, especially black people, have children simply for a check, simply for food stamps, simply for $8 to $12 a month rent, simply for all these small accomplishments that they think is accomplishments. Don't know why, but it makes their life easy, and they don't have to do anything. They could be lazy like the people who are actually controlling this stuff. But they don't understand that this is just continuing the cycle. You're not breaking any cycle. How many generations have we gone and we haven't broken the cycle yet? It's a reason for that. So when you take into account that you have agreed to this, and now they can give us whatever they want, such as they can make us employees, and we're happy with that. We'd just be happy to have a job. You say you gotta go out there and put on Facebook right now. You got a new job. You starting next week. You're gonna be getting paid $50,000 a month. $50,000 a year. Go out there and put that on there, and people are going to congratulate you, especially if you have never made $50,000 a year before. They'll just say, "Hi, man, you gonna be doing, man. Don't get up there and get them people in the problems, man. Do the job and go on home, man." Yes, sir, boss. Like, for real. But go and then, like, 2 months later, put on there that you're starting your own business. See how many people react then. I know this for a fact. Mostly nobody would, unless you just one of those popular individuals. You know, you're so popular that whatever you say is right. And anybody who comes against you with actual facts to prove you wrong, they're an idiot. So, we agreed to these. I could go on and on and on and on. We agreed to these apartment complexes, not realizing these apartment complexes are just like slave quarters. Yeah, they're a lot more lavish. I'm not talking about how it's luxurious. It is. You get to pick your own slave quarter. You get to decorate it however you want. You know, I mean, but the illusion of freedom comes in where you make enough to pay $1,600 a month rent, but they won't allow you to get a $980 mortgage so you can move into a house. This is where that illusion of freedom comes in there. Not only that, but then you also remember that, or if you don't know, understand what non-allodial and allodial deeds are, and how on a non-allodial deed, you get that deed back in 99 years. You don't keep it, meaning you don't own the land, meaning you can't really do what you want with the land. You just been entrusted with the care of this facility and the land. You get to live here. And you get to pay to live here. You get to pay to take care of this stuff for them. So, I mean, I know it sounds like that's how you're used to that. You think that that's what it's supposed to be. You've been taught that this is what handling your responsibilities is. But the original humans never had to do that. The original humans, we are the only species on Earth that pay to live on it. Because we just so happen to be born on it. It's the society and its rules and regulations that we are agreeing to, but it's the slave culture. It is epitome of exact slave science. How do you make and keep a slave? This is exactly what it is, especially when they're born into it. They already know that this is their life. This is what life is supposed to be. They have no perception of what life could be. Just like you have people who have a little bit of money, they can travel and go to different countries and see different cultures and be able to actually experience different things. And then you take somebody from the hood that never traveled outside of his hood a day in his life, and you take him to another state, and this is amazing to them. This is an experience to them. We're nomadic creatures by nature. We move to where the climate is the best. So why are we being restricted to a spot, left to lay dormant, and grow stagnant? because we can't move around. We can't absorb other cultures. And then the cultures that are here in the land, in this melting pot, they put so much tension between them that you can't learn anything from them. So you automatically think these people hate you, and they automatically think you hate them. I have heard so many black people say Africans don't like us. It's a reason for that. Have you ever stopped to ask them why? Because the explanations that I have been given has been our history. I can look in the history books. I can look in the newspapers and see that their excuse for not liking us is accurate. We don't have our own culture. Our culture has been created and ruled by Europeans for so long that we think that we invented this shit. We did not invent being called black. We didn't. The Dutch slave masters invented that. When they decided that they was going to be white and you get to be black, and that was the nice name they called you, it was over from there. It was over. So, in essence, your black history, it does not really go past slavery. It doesn't. There's nothing before slavery when it comes to black history. Yes, there are histories of melanated nations. There's histories of melanated tribes. There's histories of melanated people. But there's no history of them ever calling themselves black. You did that. You put that on them. You labeled them that because you had been labeled that for so many hundreds of years that you thought it was true. And then when somebody who's melanated such as yourself tells you, no, you're not black, you tell them that they're a coon and they hate themselves. Because secretly inside, you hate yourself. Because of what our history has put us through and how we just laid down and accepted it. We have yet to actually combat what we are going through right now. Now I know what you're saying. Well, Eric, how are we supposed to be able to combat it? They got all the guns. You're right. They do got all the guns. I'm glad you said that. And when we come back, we are definitely going to talk about that. And I hope y'all heard it didn't turn the channel. And for those that didn't change the channel, thank you for holding on, because we're finna give you some key points on how to be able to actually fix this without even having to worry about picking up a gun. Keep your weapons locked and loaded. That ain't what I'm saying. I ain't saying don't keep that thing locked and loaded. I'm saying I could teach you how to do it. We could teach you how to do it. It's a massive, we have a mission to uplift fallen humanity with love, truth, justice, peace, and freedom. And we are going to extend that to you so that you can get your life to blossom, and you can hold those who have been holding you down, making you grow stagnant. You can hold them accountable for their misdeeds. For these miscreants need to be held accountable. And I ain't talking about race. Race is subjective. Race is a human construct used to play psychological war games on you. That's it. It got you looking at everybody, especially certain people, like they're not your kinfolk, and they are your kinfolk, even though they ain't your skinfolk. So, with that being said, y'all make sure y'all tune in after these next two songs, because when we come back, we're going to have some solutions for you. And if you're looking at this on Facebook, YouTube, whatever, you're watching the video, make sure you hit the link in the description. That way you can come on and hear the rest of this magnificent what we got. We got some great things for you. So definitely tune in. We're going to be hitting you with resources. We're going to be hitting you with solutions. We're going to be hitting you with everything you need to be able to get yourself out of or if you want to juggle them, because you know, like me, you know some of the rules of the game. You get to learn how to play the game. Like Pac said. That's why we're looking at the world in our rear view. Come on, baby, scream to God. He can hear you. This is Julian Lennon with Silk Purses here on BOSS Radios, talking but ain't saying nothing. You heard what it is.
This is different. This is different. This is different.
BOSS, Southside Boss Radio.
Julian Lennon. Let the truth be told. Why? Only the elite gon' know what I'm speaking of. The rest of you motherfuckers just blind. It ain't my fault, no.
All right. Court is now in session. The Honorable Uncle Sam presiding. United States versus Julian Lennon. You may be seated.
Hard times seems to call for desperate measures. Life is a struggle, can't fold under pressure. Bear with me for a moment, I'ma give you an example. Obama asked for a little more than he can handle. Wake up, smell the coffee. The government's a scandal. Pull the wool over your eyes with television and lies. Why they lie? Gift the gap, politics as usual. Open up the minds of my niggas on the app. Yellow tape crackers got the roadblock. Another black teen outlined in white chalk. It's not about color, people blind to the facts. If you really knew the laws, you would know how to react. I'm never scared to say the shit you niggas won't say. It's like we all headed for doomsday. Armageddon holding tight to my weapon. Recourse and remedy, this shit is killing me. Silk purses. Open your eyes, this ain't the designer version. Silk purses. Open your eyes, this ain't the designer version. Open up your mind, maybe then you'll see. Money makes the world go round, either your wolf or your sheep. Silk purses. Open your eyes, this ain't the designer version. No disrespect, I gotta put some things in check. It's not God's design to marry the same sex. To my daughter Jalen, baby, I truly love you. How do I explain to your mom's in love with a woman? Bobbing to Sam Cooke, it's been a long time coming. Do we really know the value of American money? We in debt to the same corporation that we under, blowing money overseas while our veterans hungry. God bless the souls in heaven, flight 9/11. Before we die, Aaron Russo answered that question. Sat down with Rockefeller, now they buying FEMA camps. Never sign a dotted line, your signature's a stamp. They say the worst is yet to come. Martial law in effect, I'm praying for Ferguson. If the people knew the truth, America's really cursed. Fuck the judge, I'm claiming my silk purse. Silk purses. Open your eyes, this ain't the designer version. Silk purses. Open your eyes, this ain't the designer version. Open up your mind, maybe then you'll see. Money makes the world go round, either your wolf or your sheep. Silk purses. Open your eyes, this ain't the designer version.
The defense attorney, Donna West, is trying to take down her credibility in this particular exchange now.
And that's because he described him as a creepy-ass cracker?
Yes.
So it was racial, but it was because Trayvon Martin put race in this.
No.
You don't think that's a racial comment?
No.
You don't think that creepy-ass cracker is a racial comment?
No.
The ultimate goal that these people have in mind is the goal to create a one-world government, run by the banking industry, run by the bankers. Right? There'll be no more cash. And this is getting me straight from Rockefeller himself. This is what they want to accomplish. He's the one who told me 11 months before 9/11 ever happened that there was going to be an event. Never told me what the event was going to be. But there was going to be an event. And there's going to be this war on terror, of which there's no real enemy. And the whole thing is a giant hoax, but it's a way for the government to take over the American people. 9/11 was done by people in our own government and our own banking system to perpetuate the fear of the American people into subordinating themselves to anything the government wants them to do. That's what it's about, and to create this war, this endless war on terror.
BOSS, Southside Boss Radio.
Already. So yeah, that was your boy Julian Lennon with Silk Purses. If you was able to catch that knowledge, you know what I'm saying, then hey, then I'm happy for you. I'm glad that you actually joining us, and I hope you leave some comments in the chat box, man. Let us know that you're listening. Let us know how you're feeling about this information, and hopefully we can get some action going after y'all hear what we got, because I got a great story for y'all. And I know what y'all saying. Y'all ain't come here for no story time, but just check me out. This is based off of true events, and it will actually show you how that what we saying is true. That way you can start getting up out those slave chains. You feel me? Now, we all know of Abraham Lincoln as being the great emancipator. You know, a lot of you actually do your research and find out he wasn't as favorable to blacks as they make it seem. So, I say that to say this story about him that they found in the DeWitt County Courthouse at Illinois. It shines some light on the actual law at the time and what was really going on, especially since y'all think every black person back then was a slave. They were, but not like you think, because not every melanated person was a slave. Anyways, it was among the 10 original Abraham Lincoln documents that was discovered in the DeWitt County Courthouse at Illinois. And it was a bond for costs in the William Dungy versus Joseph Spencer case. Now, it was written but not signed by Abraham Lincoln. The bond was actually part of an interesting slander case. Family disputes that degenerated into slanderous name-calling feuds frequently appeared in antebellum Illinois circuit courts. Such cases reflected the intent of American slander law to safeguard an individual's good reputation in the community against petty character assassination. Abraham Lincoln realized the value of reputation and declared in his first printed political speech that every man is said to have his peculiar ambition. I have no other so great as that of being truly esteemed of my fellow men. Now, one unique slander case that Abraham Lincoln argued at the DeWitt County Circuit Court in Clinton, Illinois, in October 1855. Terms involved much more than a defamation of character, suggested that Huck Finn's friend Jim might have reconsidered his plan of escape to freedom. I reckon that by 4 a.m, I'd slip in just before daylight and swim ashore and take to the woods on the Illinois side. Because in August of 1851, William Dungy was a dark-skinned young man of Portuguese descent, married a European woman, Joseph Spencer's sister. A family quarrel ensued, which became so bitter that in January 1855, Joseph Spencer, who was a European, claimed throughout the community that his brother-in-law, Black Bill, was a Negro. Since 1819, Illinois state law permitted quasi-slavery and restricted the immigration of free blacks into the state. As other northern states passed personal liberty laws granted additional rights to free blacks, Illinois toughened its stance against them. The 1848 Illinois State Constitution required the General Assembly to pass such laws as will effectively prohibit free persons of color from immigrating to and settling in this state. That is the words that they use in the Constitution. That's what was required in the Constitution of the General Assembly. These prohibitions against human rights were passed as the Black Laws and went into force on February 12, 1853. That was the same date of the future emancipator's 44th birthday. Now, William Dungy faced losing not only his reputation, but his marriage, his property, and his right to remain in Illinois. Section 10 of the 1853 Black Law stated that every person who shall have 1/4 Negro blood shall be deemed a mulatto. William Dungy retained Abraham Lincoln to quash the possibility that he might be judged a Negro and therefore suffer the severe penalties under the 1853 Blacks Law Act. Now, Abraham Lincoln filed his declaration charging Joseph Spencer with slander and that happened on April 17th, 1855. He also sought $1,000 in damages, which today would be, you think it's nothing, but trust me, it was something back then. Now, if this was started the game of legal chess. During the first hearing in May, Joseph Spencer's attorneys, Clifton H. Moore and Lawrence Weldon, who were also Europeans, filed a demurrer to Abraham Lincoln's declaration, asserting that his charges were insufficient in law. Judge David Davis agreed that 2 of Abraham Lincoln's 3 charges were faulty. The case was continued and Abraham Lincoln was allowed to amend the declaration. At the next term of court, which was October 1855, the Dungy case was argued before a jury. Now, according to Joseph Spencer's attorney, Lawrence Weldon, Abraham Lincoln's talent as a trial lawyer were evident in his argument for William Dungy. Lawrence Weldon stated that Abraham Lincoln questioned Joseph Spencer's character by demonstrating how Joseph Spencer went from house to house gabbing that William Dungy was a nigger. Attorney Lawrence Weldon emphasized that Abraham Lincoln's tone and pronunciation had a curious touch of the ludicrous, which instead of detracting seemed to have added to the effect. I mean, he called the man a nigger. Not a nigger. A nigger. E-R. Hard, too. Hard. Abraham Lincoln further undermined Joseph Spencer by using humor to persuade the jury that there was reasonable doubt regarding William Dungy's race. The attorney Lawrence Weldon recalled Abraham Lincoln's statement as, "My client is not a Negro, though it is a crime to be a Negro. No crime to be born with a black skin. But my client is not a Negro. His skin may not be as white as ours, but I say he is not a Negro, though he may be a Moor." Judge Davis interrupted, "Mr. Lincoln, you mean a Moor, M-O-O-R, not Moore, M-O-O-R-E, which was the last name of the defense attorney, one of the other defense attorneys." Lincoln replies, "Well, Your Honor, Moore, M-O-O-R, not Clifton H. Moore." And he had a sweep longer the arm towards the table where the attorney Moore sat. "I say my client may be a Moor, M-O-O-R, but he is not a Negro." Now, I want to stop there real quick because we're going to continue. I want y'all to hear what the verdict was, what the resolution of this case was. Because but first, I want to express the importance of the fact that he had to differentiate between a Moor and a Negro, and it couldn't be done simply by the skin complexion. No, because both had the same skin complexion. A Moor and a Negro, a Moor and a black person had the same skin complexion. Why? Because they originally in the human family come from the same human ancestry. So essentially, at the core root of it, yes, they are the same, but by law, they were different. What makes it different in the European law? What gives them the notion that they can actually differentiate between the two when history has already said and DNA has already said that they're one and the same? So just keep that in your mind as we go to and find out what the verdict, what happened in this case. Because this is not a case that you'll hear about in black history simply because even though it had a melanated individual in it, we wouldn't consider them a family, ancestor, because they didn't consider themselves a Negro or a black, which it was a crime to be. Though the account may be apocryphal, attorney Lawrence Weldon's recollection was a characteristic of Abraham Lincoln's style. Abraham Lincoln then demolished the defendant's witnesses' testimony. Attorney Clifton H. Moore and Lawrence Weldon had secured several depositions from residents in Giles County, Tennessee. where the Dungy family home was. These witnesses stated that they had personally known the family and that the white community had regarded the Dungeries as Negro or of mixed blood. Under cross-examination, Abraham Lincoln argued that the testimony was hearsay as the witnesses admitted none of them lived within 30 miles of the William Dungy residence. On October 18, 1855, the jury returned a verdict of guilty and granted William Dungy the Moor $600 in damages plus court costs of $137.50. Abraham charged a $25 fee, which Lawrence Weldon considered minimal. To avoid an appeal to the Illinois State Supreme Court, Abraham Lincoln persuaded William Dungy to remit $400 of the judgment in return for the defendant releasing all errors which may exist in the court record. Under Illinois state law, the defendant could not appeal the verdict, but could appeal on the errors of procedure or evidence. Abraham Lincoln had taught Joseph Spencer an expensive lesson in domestic relations. Now, once you see why they had to separate a Moor from a Negro, even though they was one and the same, it was because it was a political status. A political status where a black was labeled black, such as you seen in 12 Years a Slave, where the man was free, but because he came into a state where it was illegal to be black, he was calling himself black, so they threw him into slavery. And it was legal because it was against the law to be black. But it was not against the law to be a Moor. A Moor, this Moor was Portuguese. But Moors come from North and Northwest Africa, making them essentially African, which it was not a crime to be African, but it was a crime to be black. How does that work? How does that work? It's a crime to be black, but it's not a crime to be African. Didn't they get all the blacks from Africa? If they got all the blacks from Africa, obviously it was illegal to be African, right? No, it wasn't. You know why? Not every African that comes over here with melanated skin is classified by them, by the Europeans, as being black. Look up Mustafa Hefny. You want to do some black history? Look up Mustafa Hefny. He's fighting to be black. He's fighting. Been fighting since the 70s. He wants to be black. Just as dark as me. Wants to be black, but he's considered white by the United States government. OMB Directive 15. Whites, apart from the original peoples of Europe, Middle East, and North Africa. So unless they still trying to convince you that North Africans were pale, we all know that white and black is also a subjective terminology because they're not colors, so how can a person be them? You're not black. I don't care how dark you are, you're not black. I don't care how light they are, they're not white. So what we need to be doing is figuring out, how did we get caught up in their game? How did we get caught up in their system where they get to control everything? They control not only the narrative of this nation, but they also control the narrative of you. You wasn't black until their slave masters came on there and made you black. You had your tribe, your family name that you was proud of, such as the Moors. So when we tell you that you're not black, we're not telling you not to be proud of what you've been through and have accomplished and what you have overcome. We're not saying don't be proud of that, because black is taking all of that away from you because of the actual definition of what it meant when the Europeans came up with the word. They came up with the word. It is the etymology of black. B-L-A-E-C, is a 11th century Middle English term. Not our term. We didn't speak English. We taught them English, but we didn't speak it. We spoke one of the true ancient dialects of Arabic, Aramaic, Hebrew. We spoke all of them languages. We did not. That's why English doesn't make sense. English don't make sense so much that they have to use Latin, a dead language, in order to do real important terminology such as legalese. You learning how to speak to a lawyer, learning how to speak to a judge, or medical, learning how to talk to anybody in the medical field about something specific. Because if they need to know what it is, you can't say it in English, because that's what that word means. Anything. That word can mean anything, because English is not an intelligent language. It is the laziest language in the world. So if you are a reader, a researcher, or a scholar, and it is advised to review the foregoing synopsis of this William Dungy slander case in 1855 with keen considerations about the realities and the facts that in law and in the legal process, one's status also determines one's standing in relationship to one's estate. Thus, as in this case, the spurious tags, brands, and nom de guerre, such as black and negro, being pejorative, and statuses compromising nom de guerre and misnomers, it had and can and will create serious and debilitating social and economic repercussions in relationship to William Dungy's or your estate. Now, such a damaged reputation would place all of his present and his future hereditaments at risk, and it would be subject to escheat, meaning that somebody could just take it. Now, you have to keep in mind that the European, aka the Romans, aka the colonists, their unum sanctum bulla and the doctrine of discovery conquest policies are operative and in effect upon the lands and the aboriginal natural peoples of North America. I'm going to have to ask you to replay this again, listen to it again, take notes, and look it up. The unum sanctum, UNAM SANCTAM, the bulla, and the bulla is BULLA, and the doctrine of discovery. You will learn so much about how to get out of this system just by understanding what that means. Because these and other supporting bullas were imposed upon peoples of the Western Hemisphere. Now, therefore, you have to be aware of the Inquisition Acts and the edicts of the past, and be more cognizant of the social, economic, and political acts. Be more aware of those things. See what they're doing. Peep their game. Because if you can't, well, you already see how worse it could get. You could lose your life. Your family could lose you and everything that you've built. Don't let them steal it from you. Stop them from taking from you. No one knows we got to. So I hope that this Black History Month, y'all tune in with us, and hope y'all already follow, like, and subscribe to us. And you listen to every episode that come out this month. Find Revolutionary Hour as well. You could go to our website at sbcmovement.com. and you'll be able to find Revolutionary Hour. You can also Google Revolutionary Hour. You can also find us Revolutionary Hour on all your streaming services. Follow us, because we're going to be dropping so much knowledge on your head this year. And like every other year prior to that. Because I'm trying to make sure that you understand how to save yourself. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and sign up out of here. But before we do, we're going to leave y'all with a little bit of Trey Libra, aka Jacob Israel, in the building. This here's Fingerprint. Like, please share this to all your family and friends, and we are out.
BOSS Radio. BOSS Radio. BOSS Radio. BOSS Radio.
I wanna leave a mark, and I wanna make it legendary, with an emphasis on legendary. Yeah, I know I'm one of a kind. Sometimes I wish I could be different, but I can't change my fingerprint. Change my fingerprint. Change my fingerprint. Change my fingerprint.
I cannot rap about no trap, cause I ain't sold no crack. But if you been here from the start, you know I know about that. Dysfunctional family, but wouldn't change it for nothing. I'm a scarred teddy bear with these stitches and buttons. Birth of brave creatures, I cannot sit up in these bleachers. I'd rather tell my story on these songs and these features. Look at your fingerprints, they are one of a kind. God has blessed you with the mind to direct the blind. And they ain't talking about the focal, so adjust your vocal. I know at times it seems the devil's got you in the chokehold. Just breathe. It's 18 and 21, I know we're talking about the fingers, but there's power in the tongue. I speak life and breathe life in the walking dead. I know some counted them out, but I hope they change their head. Matter of fact, change their heart, giving brand new starts. Make them legendary like David, they leaving their marks.
I wanna leave a mark, and I wanna make it legendary, with an emphasis on legendary. Yeah, I know I'm one of a kind. Sometimes I wish I could be different, but I can't change my fingerprint. Change my fingerprint. Change my fingerprint. Change my fingerprint.
Can't change that. Took some time, but I found who I was. Who I am is an artist without the deal of the buzz. Accept the gift and the curse, but I'm a blessing in this verse. Be a light up on the earth before my corpse is in the hearse. Know what I mean? Young people, you can be what you aspire to be. Doctor, lawyer, the head of an embassy. Ambassador for human rights, you can lead the fight. Just make sure that your strike is bigger than your human bite. Don't just be talking. Cause some talk without muscle. And some crime but don't hustle. They don't work hard at all. And they wonder why their stars don't change. You can't grow without the growing pains. I often wonder the pain of Nelson Mandela. Then I'm taken to the quotes of Helen Keller. It says, the only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. So I say write it down, make it plain, and execute your vision.
Mark, and I wanna make it legendary, with an emphasis on legendary. Yeah, I know I'm one of a kind. Sometimes I wish I could be different, but I can't change my fingerprint. Change my fingerprint. Change my fingerprint. I can't change my fingerprint. Change my finger. I can't change my fingerprint. I change my fingerprint. I can't change my fingerprint.
BOSS Southside Boss Radio. Southside Boss Radio. Southside Boss Radio.